Good evening. Welcome, fans, to another El Segundo television sports presentation. I'm Diego Sanchez alongside Glenn Cassie. Tonight from Hazeltine Field, it's the final regular season home game for the 08 season, Glenn. And the Lawndale Cardinals coming in here without their star running back, Carlton Callaway. That really should hurt Lawndale, and it should set it up for a big El Segundo victory if they play up to their capability.
Well, you're right, Diego. And they also get back Mike Bundy tonight, who injured his leg last week. So this game could really get out of hand early, as long as they don't make any mistakes. Let's not forget, this is high school football. So as long as they minimize the penalties and turnovers, they should win this game. Now let's talk about the playoffs a little bit. This is really a three-horse race between North, South, and the Eagles. North is right now the favorite. They're 8-0. They're undefeated. They won the last game here last week in a close one. But if El Segundo can win the last two games and North lose one, they can still win the Pioneer League in a tiebreaker scenario. So a lot going on in the final 2 weeks of the season. It's parent night tonight. They get Mike Bundy back. Coach Shevlin said the team needs to play with a lot of intensity tonight because they have a huge game next week at South. And obviously playoff implications all over the place. But they want to have some momentum going in. And this is a team that hasn't won a playoff game since 2002. And Coach Shevlin and the staff feel they can make a dent in the playoffs this year.
Well, it's going to be an exciting night. Certainly they want to keep Mike Bundy on the field and that explosive offense. They will certainly offensively be far better than Lawndale without Carlton Callaway. We'll just have to see how it turns out. Now, before the start of the game, let's head down to the field to Jill Montgomery.
Thanks, Diego, and welcome back, Glenn. You're just in time for all kinds of things happening for the El Segundo Eagles. First and foremost, starting quarterback Mike Bundy is back tonight. After re-injuring his knee in the loss against North last weekend, he definitely will play tonight. Secondly, it's Parents' Night tonight for the El Segundo Eagles, and every player on this team will be escorted out onto the field by a family representative who has been a source of support and motivation for them. Thirdly, keeping along the lines of support and motivation, head coach Steve Shevlin wants his players to use those sentiments and play with extra heart and extra emotion tonight. There are some personal situations with this team that I will tell you later on in the broadcast about, but tonight's focus is definitely not just physical. Back upstairs.
So we're all set for football here at Hazeltine Field. Diego Sanchez alongside Glenn Cassie, and we're underway at Hazeltine Field in this last regular season game, and it's going to be called a touchback in that rule that I just absolutely loathe. More evidence of the nanny state creeping into our lives, not allowing these kids to make their own decision as to whether to run the ball out of the end zone or not.
Well, I think that's probably have a whole telecast on that subject alone.
All right, so at the 20-yard line, Lawndale 4-4 as they come into this game overall, 0-3 in the Pioneer League. They're trying to get off the schneid in the Pioneer League, but they're missing, as we mentioned in the opening, Carlton Callaway. So let's see who's going to carry the load, and it looks like it's going to be Jamal Fleming with about a 4 yards before being brought down by linebacker. Well, no, that's Matt Rowland, one of the tackles.
Yeah, and you're going to see tonight the Eagles, one of the reasons they've been so successful all season is they have a tremendous amount of team speed on defense. Coach Shevlin and I spoke about it during the week, that they have the ability to really contain guys on the edge, and he feels like this is one of the fastest teams he's had in years here.
So 2nd and 6, Aaron Belton brings up the Cardinals to the line. There we have Cuevas in motion. That's Gelson Cuevas, and they put the ball up early. So that's a little unusual, but that's incomplete. It went through the hands of Raphael King, the intended receiver, who really should have caught that ball. But
yeah, I think he saw the defensive back there, Diego, out of the corner of his eye and just took his eye off the ball long enough. But I do like that. I like them throwing on 2nd down. This is a team that I think only averages about 11 or 12 pass attempts a game. So I like the fact that maybe they're trying to catch El Segundo off guard here early by coming out and throwing.
So they face a 3rd and 6 here. And Belton now with a handoff up the middle, and that goes absolutely nowhere as Gage Mortison, among others, stacked up Crawford Wilkerson for a gain of maybe an inch. And that's going to bring up a punting situation for Lawndale. And I think this is the problem that they're going to have all night long, is that without their big horse, Callaway, they're going to have problems running the ball. And once they got problems running the ball, they got big problems because they are not a passing team.
No, and they are pretty one-dimensional. When you take away their star tailback, it is going to present a lot of problems for the Cardinals tonight, as they already are going 3 and out in the first series.
So Alex Alvarado to punt and back deep near to receive this near midfield. It's Jimmy Quinones. The snap is a little shaky. Alvarado gets it off, and not a bad kick, and it takes a bit of a Lawndale bounce. So it works out for Lawndale, and the Eagles will take over at their 36-yard line. So, you know, pretty good kick, about a 40-yard. It works out to be about a 40-yard punt.
Yeah, and that was a great effort. You know, El Segundo had a lot of pressure coming up the middle there, so he was fortunate that he got that ball off and it wasn't blocked. You know, when you're playing on the road, excuse me, when you're playing on the road like this, you can ill afford to have one of those types of mistakes early on and get the crowd, you know, even more into the game.
So now we have Mike Bundy back after missing most of last week's game against North. And he airs it out, and that was underthrown, intended for Joey Schaffhauser, sort of out towards the left, the far sideline there. And we'll have to watch Bundy. We'll have to see whether, you know, that problem with his right leg is, you know, causing him any problems. I mean, one of the problems that, you know, we might see is if he just can't get enough power behind his throws. I mean, but Coach Shevlin said he seemed okay, so that's why he's starting the game. Now there's a blitz coming. Mortison gets the handoff off tackle, and it's a gain of a couple of yards, not much, before being brought down by Tariq Lewis, among others.
Going back to Bundy for a second, Diego, when I spoke to Steve Shevlin this week, he did say that the swelling came down, you know, Monday, Tuesday of the week. So, and he said he looked fine. These kids are 16, 17-year-olds. They bounce back pretty quickly, so it's great to see him out there.
So it's a 3rd and 8. Bundy rolling out, and he looks pretty mobile, and everybody holding their breath there as he kept the ball and tried to run for it. But he is brought down after a very minimal gain by Jesse Perez. Good tackle, and so a gain of about maybe 4 or 5, but they needed 8. And so now the Eagles on a 3 and out sequence. Schaffhauser will be in to punt. And back deep for Lawndale, it is Damian Bell. Let's see if Schaffhauser does that kind of rollout punt. No, he's just punting and trying to angle it away from Bell, but Bell's going to get a chance here at his 15. And a great tackle by Quinones. No run back whatsoever, as Jimmy Quinones did a great job on coverage there.
Great punt, just a great punt. A lot of hang time there, allowed the coverage team to get down, not allow the return man to make any sort of play.
So now Lawndale will get the ball at their 16-yard line, maybe the 17, I don't know, something like that. And neither team really clicking offensively in the early going. Both sequences, 3 and out sequences. Just to give you an idea of how little this Lawndale team has thrown, Aaron Belton came in with 27 completions for the whole season out of 90 attempts. So they throw the ball about 11 times a game. Here's a pitch to Jamal Fleming, I believe, got the pitch, and he got good yardage there. He picked up about 9 yards out to about the 25. And maybe they spotted just beyond the 25 to the 26. So,
yeah, it was a nice little run by Jamal Fleming. And talking to the staff of the Cardinals, Mark Gomez in particular, their head coach this week, he said even though Callaway is out, they do still have some very serviceable tailbacks. And it's one thing that the Eagles are going to have to be aware of. Even though their star guy's out, they do have some team speed back there. So see if they can make up the slack for missing their starter.
Wilkerson and Fleming are in the backfield. And now it's the keeper by Belton, and Belton pitches out to Cuevas. And the pickup is, they get the first down and more. Gelson Cuevas, a 5'10", 165 senior. When I talked to Coach Gomez before the game, and asked him who might get some touches because of the absence of Callaway. He mentioned this fellow, Cuevas, and he looked okay right there. He said he's not a bad runner, and he handled the pitch nicely and picked up 4 or 5 yards.
And he did, and he knew exactly where the first down marker was. He knew exactly where he had to go and get out of bounds. But again, you saw the team speed on the edge from El Segundo, being able to contain him and force him out of bounds so it didn't turn into a bigger play.
Now the give, now it's a reverse to Fleming, and Fleming slips a couple of tackles, and he's trying to get out to that sideline, and El Segundo has to do a better job of tackling. Finally, I believe it was Yatabe who got him, but not before he gained about 10 yards. So El Segundo's, maybe they're going to give him about 9 yards. Well, no, they're going to say it's a first down. So
yeah, from our vantage point, he was right at the marker. And this is one area this season that El Segundo, they're vulnerable at all on defense. It's up the middle. They're not really big in the middle part of that line. And they have been vulnerable, when runners tend to go a little bit more north-south.
Wilkerson is the single setback right behind Belton, and he gets the call. And there is Gage Mortison to stop him after about a pickup of about 3 or 4 yards. So right now, with about 6:40 left in the first quarter, Lawndale grinding out some yardage and approaching midfield, keeping the ball, as is their habit, on the ground. And they're showing that some of these other players, hey, look, I mean, Jamal Fleming, 72 carries, 432 yards coming into the game, a 6-yard average. So he's capable, and he's in motion. But the give instead, and that was a play that didn't quite work out. It looks like the Lawndale players almost got in each other's way. Who did they give that ball to? Was it Cuevas, 33?
Yeah, it looked like it might have been Cuevas, but Gage Mortison did a great job of staying his ground. He wasn't fooled at all, held the middle, and did a nice job picking up the tackle there.
So that was a minimal gain, a yard maybe. And so now it's 3rd and long, and this is the type of situation that Lawndale doesn't want to be in because it just forces them to put the ball up. Markeith Cungius is split wide to the right. Single setback and then 2 sort of wing backs, but they're out in patterns. And here's Belton with the throw, and see his receiver wasn't really even looking back for the ball yet. The timing was just completely off. He was looking for Fleming on that play, and it just wasn't there.
Yeah, he was looking for Fleming, but you're right, Diego. I mean, this isn't a team that throws the ball a lot, and so they're not very experienced in running routes. And I don't even think he expected the ball to be there. It was just a miscommunication between the quarterback and the receiver. But nice job on the coverage by number 21 for El Segundo. I believe it was
Nick Kessler.
Kessler, yeah.
So now another punting situation. So Alex Alvarado to kick. El Segundo has to be a little careful here for a fake, but Alvarado will be kicking, it looks like. And back deep, it's Quinones at the 35. He's up to the 40. Quinones to the 45, to midfield. Up the middle to the 45 of Lawndale, to the 40, to the 35, 30. Quinones finally going to be brought down well in Lawndale territory, well into Lawndale territory at the 27. A great run back of over 40 yards, about 40 yards roughly.
Yeah, and that's one thing that they teach you in high school football in these kick coverages is you want to kind of keep the guy, more towards the middle of the field, and they forced Quinones to the outside where he had all day to run. I mean, a ton of daylight on the outside. The return team did a nice job setting up their blocks and allowing Quinones to take it outside and get deep into Cardinal territory. Let's see if they can do something here on offense.
Well, this is a short field for sure, and now Bundy airing it out for post, and oh boy, that was dangerous as that ball was thrown behind post. And
well, that's a play, Diego, that we've seen all season with post. I mean, that's a play that they like to work all season. So
let's go down to Jill Montgomery now for a quick report.
Well, you can see that El Segundo quarterback Mike Bundy is back in the game after re-injuring his right knee last week. Well, he's game ready tonight because of a machine called Game Ready. It's a rectangular box that has ice in one end and a computerized timer in the other. It has a long tube that is connected to a blood pressure type cuff. You hit start and it circulates ice cold water around your knee. He started using it immediately after the injury, after the North game last week. It took all the swelling out of his knee, and it is the sole reason why he's back in this game tonight. But if anything happens, Grant Palmer took snaps all week long, and he's ready to go. Glenn, Diego, back up to you.
Thanks, Jill. So a pickup of about 9 yards on that quick out to, I believe it was post. So now they're going to have to measure, it looks like, on that far sideline. The ball very close to the 15-yard line. It's hard to see out there what's going on. They're measuring. They're not going to give them a first down, I don't think. They're taking their time here. The officials are referee Paul Mantolino, umpire Wayne Windman, line judge Bobby Cockrell, head linesman is Ron Madden, and a back judge is Rob Zeller. So it's about second and, I would have to say 6 inches. So the Eagles, they could take a shot into the end zone if they want right here.
Well, this is one of the areas of the field where they can try to catch a defense off guard. They're probably expecting a run or a QB sneak. But sometimes you like to go for the home run here and catch them crowding the line of scrimmage.
So here's Bundy, gives it to Mortison, and Mortison pounds it up the middle, picks up about 4 or 5 yards. That's a first down, and it's going to be just outside the 10-yard line, I think. So the Eagles will be able to pick up a first down at about the 1, I think. Let's see where they spot that ball.
Yeah, it looks like it's just beyond the 10, about 10 and a half.
They're going to be able to pick up a first down at about the 1.5-yard line. So first and 10 for the Eagles. Post is split wide to the right and Schaffhauser to the left, but the give is to Mortison up the middle, and nobody touches him, and that's, well, somebody did at the end, but it was a touchdown, too late. So an 11-yard touchdown scamper up the middle by Gage Mortison breaks the ice here tonight, and 6-0 for the Eagles, and that looked too easy for the Eagles.
It did. He wasn't even touched until he was well into the secondary, and the offensive line is an area of this team that the coaching staff El Segundo has just been so pleased with all season long. They've done a phenomenal job up front, pass blocking for their quarterback, and opening up huge holes for Gage Mortison, as you saw right there. So this is one of the reasons why this is a team that's 6-2, and they could do some damage in the playoffs.
And the point after try from Merced is up and good. So 7-0 for the Eagles with 4.5 minutes left in the first quarter. And I've got to say, Glenn, that so far this game pretty much going according to script. Obviously, when you're missing your star running back, Callaway came into the game, I believe, with close to 900 yards running. And he was averaging about 9 yards a carry, according to the stats that I had. When you're missing that caliber of player, it's just going to kill you offensively. And so far, although Lawndale has been able to keep the ball a little bit, they just haven't been able to show any explosiveness.
No, they haven't. They were able to get some first downs, but you're right. I mean, you're missing a guy who's basically picking up a first down every time he touches the ball, and he's also a very capable receiver coming out of the backfield, according to Mark Gomez and what we read in the Daily Breeze. So it's really going to hurt them. The one thing you don't want to see, and they haven't done this, they haven't self-destructed. They haven't turned the ball over yet. There's been no penalties, so let's see if they can make this competitive here.
Well, that was sort of a factor of the field being a little bald, lacking grass in some areas, as that ball was fielded by an up man, Jamal Fleming, who's a runner, but he just sort of stumbled backwards and fell, and so no run back at all, and a bad break for Lawndale as they get poor field position again. This ball is inside their 15-yard line, I believe. It's tough to read this ball is at about the 13 of Lawndale.
You can't read the mud there, Diego, in the middle of the field?
Yeah, you got to try and So, 1st and 10 for Lawndale. There's Belton with a fake pitch, and the handoff is up the middle to his favorite runner, Jamal Fleming. And he doesn't get all that far. But now we have an injury on the field for the Eagles, and that looks like Jimmy Quinones. I'm not sure. No, I could be wrong on that. I don't want to say. I might be off. So we have an injury on the field for the Eagles. So couldn't quite pick up the number. Not sure if that's Nick Kessler or who that is. So somebody just said 71. It's Jason Karp, if that's the case. So
it is. It's number 71, Jason Karp. You see it there in your C screen, but he's getting up. He appears to be okay. Maybe just got his leg bent backwards, hyperextended or whatnot, but it's good to see him walking off under his own power.
Well, Karp is going to have to come out. Let's see who comes in to replace him. I didn't see who took the field to take his spot.
Well,
let's see. It would have to be a nose guard kind of situation. I think it's 62 out there. Steven Pliakonis is on for Jason Karp. Here's a quick out thrown by Belton to Cungius, and Cungius gets around the containment out there and picks up a first down. He's a talented athlete, Markeith Cungius. So
yeah, he's one of the guys that Coach Shevlin said is a skill guy for them. He's one of these guys that has some speed, and you saw it there in that little burst. He caught the ball and got enough, it looks like, for the first down. So, and I like that call, Diego. It's a very safe pass out on the flat. Let him catch it. Let your athletes create some things in space.
So Cungius, who goes 6'4", 190, a senior with very good speed, as we saw there, picks up a first down.
Very
Lawndale.
good. Right, I'm sorry. And also, he's averaging 20 yards of reception. So
right. Here goes Fleming again, and he gets big yardage on this little counter play. And another first down. Well, it might be just shy of the first down. It depends on the spot, but he picked up 9 yards.
9 yards, yeah. They're moving the ball. The offensive line is doing a nice job protecting the quarterback. And I'll tell you what, if Grant Palmer doesn't make that tackle there, he had a lot of room on the edge. That play could have turned into a big gainer for Lawndale.
So Lawndale with a 2nd and half a yard after that, let's call it 9+ yard pickup. 3:10 left here in the first quarter. 7-0 Eagles is your score, but Lawndale moving the ball again. And in the film that I saw against, I'll make this point right after this play, here's another rollout by Belton. He's going to air it out. He was looking for Fleming, but not. Ball went right through his hands. I was going to say, Glenn, that I did see some footage of a game against North that Lawndale played. And they showed the ability to move the ball, even in that game where they had Carlton Callaway, between the 30s pretty easily. I mean, well, not, but consistently. They could keep the ball. They could rack up some first downs. Where they had problems was in the explosive play to get into the end zone. And we'll have to see if that happens again tonight.
Yeah, you're right. They tend to get bogged down once they get inside the red zone.
3rd and short. Belton, the give is to number 3, who is a very diminutive player. Crawford Wilkerson goes only 5'3", 170, so you got to kind of look for him if you're a tackler. But I think he just managed to pick up the first down. It was a very short distance that he had to go there.
This is a kid, Diego, who is averaging nearly 7 yards a carry. So obviously you have Callaway with 9 yards a carry, over 9 yards. Crawford Wilkerson with 7. Jamal Fleming with 6 yards. I mean, this is a team that is certainly run-oriented. I mean, they don't like to throw the ball a lot, but they've got a lot of guys that could do well. I mean, all these guys are averaging 6, 7, 8, 9 yards a carry. So Belton
now. There's a Cuevas gets it's a misdirection, and it confused the Eagles. They do a lot of this. It's almost similar to the Torrance offense, where you have that. They don't run a wing T, but there's that kind of misdirection where you don't know who the quarterback is going to give the ball to. And that time it caught the Eagles chasing the wrong player, and Cuevas picked up about 10 or 11 yards. So
he did, and Cuevas, to my point, Diego, is a guy who's averaging almost 8 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a team, and this is an offensive line that knows how to run block and run block very effectively. And you're seeing that here in this drive. They're doing a nice job.
So ball at the El Segundo 46, 1st and 10. Belton, another quick throw, but it's incomplete. He was looking for Cungius. They were trying to execute that quick out. Let's get the ball to Cungius and let him run with it. But Belton overthrew it. So 2nd and 10.
Yeah, and Belton isn't a guy who's completing a lot of his passes. He's completing about 30% of his passes, and you're seeing it tonight. I mean, these guys are wide open on the flat, and he's just simply overthrowing these kids. I mean, these are things that are routine when you look at the El Segundo offense with Mike Bundy. I mean, this isn't like you're throwing into traffic or throwing into coverage here. I mean, these guys are wide open on the flat. It's not going to get any easier, and they're just not effective. He's just not an accurate passer. These are things that they need to work on.
So 2nd and 10, yeah, certainly that throw was a poor throw. And there's the give up the middle as a quick sort of hitter up the middle. I'm not sure who got the ball. Was it Fleming again?
No, it looks like Cuevas, I thought.
No, that time it was Wilkerson. That time it was Wilkerson. I think I miscalled the one previously where I said Wilkerson had it. I think it might have been Fleming on that one. That time it definitely was Wilkerson, and he picked up about 3 yards. The ball is just into El Segundo territory. Let's call it at the 49 of El Segundo, and let's call it a 3rd and a long 5. So let's see if they put it up here, and the give is to Fleming, and Fleming is getting around that right side, and he picks up a 1st down, and Fleming is off to the races, and Nick Kessler brings him down from behind. Otherwise, Fleming is in the end zone.
Yeah, a nice shoestring tackle there. Had he not done that, you're right, he was in the end zone. But you're seeing tonight, they do have some team speed at the skill positions. These guys, they run the ball, 75 to 85% of the time. You can see why. This is a very experienced offensive line. They know how to block. They do a lot of misdirections. And it's catching the Eagles off guard here in the first quarter.
So 1st and 10, Belton gives to Fleming, and this time he gets loose again. The first tackler missed, I believe. Yeah, that was
Grant Palmer who actually had him wrapped up, but he broke free.
So a nice little pickup, and now they're inside the red zone. The Lawndale Cardinals are at the 19 of El Segundo, and there's about 30 seconds left here in the quarter. They'll probably get one more play off, maybe 2 if they pick up a 1st down and they have to move the sticks, but they're getting very slow bringing this play in. They may not even get this play off. They might get penalized for delay of game. Raphael King brought in the play, but they're very slow getting this play off, and they might not get it off. 7 seconds now. Belton now rolling out. He's looking to throw. He's going to keep the ball, and he is thrown for a loss, I believe, by Kessler, and that's the end of the first quarter. Now for a report on Mike Bundy, let's go down to Jill Montgomery.
Thanks, Diego. Well, you heard me mention at the beginning of the game that El Segundo head coach Steve Shevlin wants his players to play with extra heart and emotion tonight. The Eagles have been facing personal tragedies all season long. Linebacker Gage Mortison's grandfather, Tim, died right before the beginning of the season. And more recently, linebacker Danny Warren's sister, Caitlin, underwent brain surgery in order to relieve a tumor. So the Eagles have dedicated this game to her tonight. And Coach Shevlin wants his players to realize how small playing football is in the grand scheme of things, and also to use the culmination of everything they have been through to propel themselves to a win tonight. Diego, Glenn, back up to you.
Thanks, Jill. Well, I thought that was going to be a report on Mike Bundy, but it was actually on something even more important in the grand scheme of things. Perhaps we'll get more on Mike later, but thank you for that report, Jill. And right now, Lawndale moving the ball and looking, like they can score some points in this game. The Eagles have to get a handle on, those misdirection plays. It's not the easiest thing in the world.
No, and I think they'll make some adjustments here as the game goes on, and certainly in the second half. The one thing I'm impressed most about the Cardinals so far tonight, they haven't made any mistakes. No penalties, no turnovers, and those are keys when you're playing on the road at night, especially in a hostile environment. You know, it's parent night here, and if you do that, you're going to be in every football game you play.
So 3rd and about 4. The give is to Fleming, and Fleming finds a hole, and he runs over Grant Palmer. Pickup of about 6 or 7 yards there, and that's a first down.
Boy, and Grant Palmer really took a shot from Jamal Fleming there and just bowled him over. This Cardinal team is playing with a lot of enthusiasm right now. They're fired up on the sidelines. Not one player sitting on that bench. They know they need to get some points on the board here if they want to stay in this football game.
So the ball is at about the 9 of El Segundo, 1st and goal to goal. Belton gives to Wilkerson, and Wilkerson picks up a few yards, maybe 3, bring up a 2nd and goal to goal. Wilkerson came into this game with 40 carries, 279 yards. So averaging about close to 7 yards a carry. Ball is right at the 5-yard line. And the plays are coming in from the sideline and sometimes a little slowly. So this is something we'll have to watch. Raphael King is bringing the plays in. There's the give to Fleming. Fleming looking for the corner of the end zone. Fleming spinning around, and he is just shy of pay dirt. Let's see who was in on that tackle. I think Yatabi was one of the players in on the tackle. So it is now 3rd and goal to goal, and the ball is just outside the El Segundo end zone. It's right at the 1-yard line. 10 minutes left in the half, and El Segundo clinging to a 7-0 lead, but the Cardinals knocking on the door, that's for sure. Belton now, and he's going to keep it, and that's a touchdown. So, well, there's no signal, but now there is. So a very impressive drive by Lawndale. They started on their own 13-yard line, so that was an 87-yard drive, which chewed up, gosh, I want to say easily 5 or 6 minutes of this clock.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're the Cardinals, that's what you want to do. You want to keep this explosive Eagle offense off the field as much as possible tonight.
Alex Alvarado on to try the point after try. So the snap is no good, and Markeith Cunges, I think that was a design play, but it didn't work.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that was a design play. I mean, I think, no? you don't need to go for 2 for any reason.
Maybe
I think it was just a poor snap, and he didn't know what to do with it. But and that's unfortunate because, as I just alluded to, this is a team that hadn't made any mistakes yet in the first quarter. And it's just as I got that sentence out, we have a bad snap, and that could come back to haunt him as this game goes on.
So 7-6 the score. After that, yeah, you're probably right, Glenn. That was just a bad snap, and then Markeith Cunges tried to make something out of it and couldn't quite do it. He was looking for Crawford Wilkerson, but didn't work out. So the Eagles hang on to the lead. And now here's the kickoff from Alvarado, and it's kind of a short one. And Palmer, I should say, is up to the 30, 35. And that's where he is brought down by he is brought down by Tyler Johnson. And so the Eagles get, pretty good field position.
Yeah, Grant Palmer's done a real nice job with them all season, returning kickoffs. He's kind of a guy who I think goes unnoticed a little bit, but he's certainly been able to get this Eagle offense in good position more times than not.
So Bundy giving it to Mortison, and Mortison running into a gang of Lawndale tacklers, and really nothing there for Mortison. Maybe a yard. The tacklers were led by Tariq Lewis, but there were about 3 or 4 guys there. And so that's going to bring up a 2nd and 9.
Well, while we have a minute, Diego, we have a birthday wish going out to Tahana Hale in the El Segundo Marching Band. I believe she turns 14 today, so happy birthday, Tahana.
Very nice.
Very nice, as the band does a great job every week here.
So now 2nd and long. Bundy play action, steps up, delivers, and it's complete to Yatabi, and Yatabi rumbles up to the El Segundo 47-yard line, and that's a pickup of about 12 or 13 yards and a first down.
Yatabi's one of those guys that really likes contact, and you talk to him and stuff. He really likes to wear guys down towards the end of the game, and you saw there he had a chance to go out of bounds, but instead he just lowered his shoulder and bowled over the cornerback to get an extra 3 or 4 yards, and he's a true football player. Nice effort by Kyle.
So 1st and 10. Yeah, he's a big kid, as I've mentioned it earlier in these other times, other games. 6'1", 210, and he's experienced. He's a senior. Bundy, quick drop and a throw, but he just seems to not quite be in his stride, Mike Bundy, so far tonight. That throw was just off. He was looking for post, and he just missed.
Yeah, and who knows, he probably didn't get as many reps in practice as he usually does. And you don't know, this only may be down, but he might be favoring a little bit, and that could be affecting his rhythm.
So 2nd and 10, 8:25 left here in the first half. It's the Eagles leading by 1, 7-6. Now we have some kind of delay with the sideline. I'm not sure what this is all about. An equipment problem with one of the players for Lawndale. Because I see the referee over there talking to the Lawndale sideline. Belton's come out of the game. So 2nd and long. Bundy gives to Mortison, and this time Mortison finds a hole and picks up about 6 or 7 yards before being brought down by Markeith Cungius. They're going to give him about 8 yards. So ball at the 36 now of Lawndale, and it's going to bring up, well, they gave him about 7. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 3. So 8 minutes left, 7-6 Eagles. Schaffhauser and Post are to the left. Post is in the slot to the left, and now we have a timeout, it looks like, or...
Yeah, it looks like it's a timeout going to be charged to the Cardinals. And maybe they just didn't have the right defensive players in or the right set there. But I want to mention, I have a break, Diego. I can't remember in all the years we've been doing these games where we've gone a full quarter and a half.
Without any flags, yeah.
Without any flags.
Yeah, it's been
pretty remarkable at the high school level.
It's been a very cleanly played game and no mistakes.
Other than the high snap on the extra
point. Other than
point.
the high snap, right. So it's a nice thing because it gets the game moving a little bit more crisply, and you don't have so many interruptions. Eagles would like to answer here. They're moving the ball, and they need to kind of answer and give their defense a little time to kind of, although some of these players go both, they play both ways,
sure.
but kind of time to regroup on the sideline and talk about what happened, why they were unable to stop Lawndale, and see if they can come up with some strategy or some thoughts on how to put a stop to that Lawndale running attack. So 3rd and about 3. There's 4 receivers in this set, and Yatabi's a single setback. Quick drop by Bundy. He's in trouble. He's going to run, and he's going to pick up the first down. And he's still going to the 20, to the 15. He stiff arms a defender, and Mike Bundy picks up about 20 some odd yards, and he stiff armed Derek Clark at the end of that run, and he takes it all the way down to the 10-yard line.
When I thought he was going to get called for hands to the face there at the end, his stiff arm kind of rode up into the face mask of the defender. But a great job on Bundy recognizing he didn't have anything open downfield, and the whole middle just opened up for him.
Picked up about
24 yards, yeah. Right. And that's where the experience of Bundy in his second year starting, not panicking and knowing what to do.
So first and goal, here's Mortison, and Mortison is brought down for a loss. And that time, Jesse Perez got him and lost about a yard. And now Mortison's limping, and that's not good if you're an Eagles fan. He can't, and he is limping. He doesn't look like he's feeling too great out there. So this is going to bring up, well, did they give him? They gave him maybe a half yard, but it's a second and goal to goal from the 9. And now there's 3 running backs. This is Brandon Jimenez is in that backfield. Here's Mortison again up the middle, and he's a warrior, boy, because he wasn't feeling too good, but he just took that ball and just banged it up the middle and picked up big yardage. He's down to about the 2-yard line. He picked up about 7 yards on that run.
Again, the offensive line of El Segundo here really starting to take control of that line of scrimmage, starting to really assert themselves up front, saying this is our house, and we're just going to run the ball right up the middle.
So it's 3rd and goal to goal. Ball is at the 2-yard line of Lawndale. And now Bundy's going to try for the sneak, and they give it to him. It's a touchdown. So I wasn't sure that he had gotten in, but Mike Bundy taking a page out of Aaron Belton's book, if you will, and he did the exact same thing. He took it right up the middle for a quarterback keeper touchdown.
Yeah, again, the offensive line, Diego, just did a tremendous job on this whole drive, whether it was blocking for Gage Mortison or protecting Mike Bundy. They just really did a great job that whole way and moving the team right down the field.
Alex Merced puts the kick up, and it is good. So 14-6 now your score on the, and that was a nice drive, and I guess the key play we would have to say it has to be that little scramble by Mike Bundy there, because that would have been 4th down had he not made it. And he showed some resourcefulness and kept, like you said, he kept his head and did the right thing and picked up big yards.
And big yards. And, the stiff arm at the end, that's something that the defensive guys and the offensive linemen, they like to see that in a quarterback. They like to see a kid who's tough, who isn't afraid to lower his shoulder and mix it up. And it was great to see a stiff arm and just push the defender right to the ground to get those last 4 or 5 yards. Nice job.
Because he could have slid, with his feet first after he picked up the first down. Especially,
or run out of bounds like most quarterbacks do. So it's great to see him get those extra yards.
Especially because, he is wearing that brace on his leg.
And he's the team leader. Make no mistake about it. He's the team leader here for the El Segundo Eagles, and he knows that they've got to win tonight if they want a shot at winning the Pioneer League title.
So here's the kickoff by Alex Merced, and it's handled back deep by the Cardinals' Damian Bell, and he gets it back. Well, not a great run back. The ball is going to be right about the Lawndale 15, and that's where the Cardinals will take over. Perhaps just shy of the 15. So Lawndale now, with 6 minutes left in the first half, they trail 14-6. They've thrown the ball a little bit more than, maybe they would normally with having Carlton Callaway out. And we'll have to see whether they take chances deep in their own part of the field or whether they're just going to try and grind the ball upfield on the ground. And there's a fake pitch, and the give is to Fleming. And Fleming is picking up pretty good yardage every time he touches the ball.
Yeah,
picks up 7 or 8 there.
He's definitely hitting his average tonight of 6 yards a carry or more. And I think at this part of the field, you don't want to throw the ball and risk a tipped ball and interception. You want to run the ball and continue doing the things you did on the last drive. But at the same time, you can ill afford a 3 and out and give the ball back to El Segundo with time on the clock. You don't want to give them any opportunity to punch the ball in and extend their lead before half. It's one of those, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
So 2nd and short here. And there's a give to Cuevas, and Cuevas is brought down on a very good play by Nick Yatabe, I believe that was.
Kyle Yatabe.
Kyle Yatabe, I'm getting confused. So I think that was a no gain, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and short. So good job by Kyle Yatabe.
Nice tackle there, showing that team speed on the defensive side of things, that Coach Shevlin really feels that this team could make a run in the playoffs. Speed can really hurt you on the edge.
So 3rd and short, big play coming up. And the give is to Fleming, and Fleming fighting for yardage, but he's not going to get there. And that time, I believe it was Matt Rowland who held him up. And this is going to bring up a 4th down. They have to punt now. So this is exactly what the Eagles wanted to do, is to force a 3 and out.
Yeah, and if you're El Segundo here, you probably are going to be calling a timeout, I would think, to stop the clock. Now, they haven't. I mean, they have all their timeouts remaining this half, but I would think they would call a timeout here, Diego, to stop the clock, because over a minute here is going to tick off by the time they get the ball back. And I'm really can't agree with this decision. I'm not sure why they're not calling a timeout. You want to have as much time left to kind of get the ball into the end zone.
Well, Quinones is back around midfield to receive the punt, and there's a somewhat high snap and a low line drive kick, which again takes a Lawndale bounce. So Alex Alvarado getting the bounces that he needs, but still El Segundo has a short field here as they take over at their 45-yard line.
And as we said at the open of this telecast tonight, this is where the Cardinals run into trouble, being such a one-dimensional team. You know, they weren't able to convert on 3rd down there, and they were forced to give the ball back to El Segundo in great field position with plenty of time left on the clock to put more points on the board. And that's where, you know, as the game goes on, it's really just going to end up hurting them.
And they had a 2nd and short in that sequence. I mean, Fleming picked up, 8 yards on this first carry. They had 2nd and short, but the El Segundo defense stiffened. Here's Mortison. Mortison picks up about 6. So ball across midfield now at the Lawndale 49, let's call it. And El Segundo, with 3.5 minutes left, they have enough time, especially because they have those timeouts you mentioned. I think they have just enough time to put a little drive together, chew up most of all, if not all of this time that's left on the clock, and really hurt the Lawndale Cardinals' hopes in this game. 2nd and about 4. Here's Bundy in the pocket. Over the middle. Nice throw to Schaffhauser to the 30. And that's where he's brought down, but a pickup of 19 yards before being brought down on the play by Crawford Wilkerson. But El Segundo starting to click through the air there, as that was the best-looking ball that Bundy's thrown tonight.
Yeah, and Schaffhauser doing a nice job finding the soft spot in that defense and able to come down with that ball for a nice pickup.
So that brings up that is a 1st and 10, gives the Eagles a 1st and 10 from about just inside the 30. Another throw, this time to Post to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, Post to the 5, Post fumbles! He fumbles! And the Cardinals will recover, and that is a tough outcome on that play that looked like it was going to be a touchdown, as Kevin Post, disgusted with himself. And
yeah, but I'll tell you what, boy, give Damian Bell, number 22, a lot of credit there for Lawndale. He just came in and blasted Post there before he got in the end zone and knocked that ball loose. Post never saw him coming. That's a heck of an effort, because Damian Bell came from the other side of the field and stayed with it. That's what you like to see. It's unfortunate for El Segundo, but a heck of a play by Damian Bell.
Yeah, I didn't see who it was who actually made the hit, but certainly a big hit forces Post to cough it up, and now Belton will take over, and the give is up the middle for a minimal gain. I didn't see who.
I think it was,
Fleming again?
no, I think it was Crawford Wilkerson.
Wilkerson. So just a pickup of about 1 or 2 yards, if that. And now this is a situation where the Eagles are calling timeout because they want to force Lawndale to punt the ball. Who called timeout? Well, anyway, I didn't see who called timeout, but
El Segundo did.
Yeah, I would think so, because they want to force Lawndale here to a situation where they have to punt out of their end zone.
Right.
That's, from an El Segundo standpoint, the ideal, outcome here after that. What looked like it was going to be a touchdown, and it just turned into a turnover.
Yeah, again, Damian Bell for the Cardinals, Diego, on that big hit. And that's something that hopefully will fire up his team going into half, because they're only down 1 score. They easily could be down 2 touchdowns here. And if they can just maybe get a first down here, they'll be able to go in at half on the road, only down 1 score, which they were big underdogs coming to this game. Let's make no mistake about it. There's your score, 14-6. I mean, this is a team that comes in here at 4-4, 0-3 in the Pioneer League. This isn't a team that really scared El Segundo.
The ball at the 3, it looks like. And it's a 2nd and 10, so there was basically no gain on that play. Belton. He's going to pass, and he's got Cungius, and Cungius is trying to get around that sideline, trying to get around that corner, and good defense by El Segundo did not allow him to really pick up any yardage of any note over there. Maybe he picked up 1 or 2, but not much.
No, and I'm sure Mark Gomez, the coach of Lawndale, is going to be upset with this player for running out of bounds there. You would want him to stay in bounds and force El Segundo to take another one of their timeouts, but he ran out of bounds inexplicably, and that's really those are types of things that upset the coaching staff.
Well, that's a good point, Glenn. Cungius should have stayed in bounds at all costs. 3rd and 10, they gave him no gain. There's the give to Fleming. Fleming picks up good yard. Well, no, he picks up a couple of yards. I shouldn't say good yardage. Couple of yards. Now another timeout by El Segundo. And now El Segundo will get that scenario that they wanted. They're going to get, this punter, Alex Alvarado, punting out of his own end zone. And quite frankly, some of the snaps to the punter have been a little shaky. So we could have a scenario where you end up with a safety here if they snap it over his head.
Yeah.
So
absolutely,
this puts pressure on the Lawndale, special team squad to execute here. We'll have to see how it works out. But regardless, El Segundo is going to get great field position here as Jimmy Quinones is setting up to field this punt way inside Lawndale territory at the 35. Lawndale wants to talk this over. El Segundo sort of licking their chops here. The Eagle sideline just sort of all pumped up about it. There's still 2 minutes left in the half, so El Segundo, I think, has plenty of time to do something.
They do. They have plenty of time. They have 1 timeout, and they certainly want to come away with at least a field goal. I mean, they're going to get the ball probably somewhere around the 30-yard line or 25-yard line of Lawndale, and plenty of time left. So they should definitely get points. I think they're just upset about the fumble on the previous series.
So there goes Alvarado to handle the snap. And it's a good snap, and he gets a pretty decent kickoff. And it's a short kick, I should say. I'm sorry. Short kick, not a great kick. About a 22-yard punt there, maybe 23-yard punt. And the Eagles have a real short field to work with here.
And that's unfortunate. Looks like the ball came off the side of his foot, and he tried to punt it as a directional kick away from the return man. But ultimately, not sure that's the best play. If you kick it to the return guy, that's when the clock starts. They would have been able to chew up some more time on the clock. So a couple mental mistakes here for the Cardinals late in the first half.
1st and 10 from the Cardinals, about 26-yard line, and Bundy throws, but right into sort of the line of scrimmage. I mean, that ball never really got anywhere.
No,
incomplete.
It's incomplete. I think it might have been number 54, Tariq Lewis, who actually got his hand on that and batted the ball down.
So 2nd and 10, 1:56 left here in the half. El Segundo leading 14-6. Bundy out of the shotgun. He's got 3 receivers in this set, and Gage Mortison is a single setback right next to him. Mortison's going to stay in. No, now he flares out, and Bundy's in trouble, and he's going to be brought down, essentially sacked by a couple of Lawndale players.
Yeah, it looks like number 54, Tariq Lewis, and 52, Joe Villa, were in on the tackle. And give credit to the Cardinal defense here for stiffening. You know, they haven't really been able to get to Bundy all game, and they're coming up here with a couple big plays. A tipped ball the first play, and nice job there by wrapping him up.
So 3rd and long, 3rd and about 11. Bundy's dropping way back. They're going to run a little screen, and that ball was almost picked off as it went through Gage Mortison's hands. That was dangerous as that ball was floating around in the middle of a lot of players there, but it fell harmlessly to the ground. And now it's interesting to see whether El Segundo will I mean, you would think this is 4-down territory for El Segundo, but...
Well, the ball's on the 20, it looks like the 28 and a half. And, yeah, I'm not sure if what they're going to do here.
Looks like a field goal. Looks like they're going to try a long field goal. And Merced, this is going to be a 45-yarder. Well, I'm not sure what this is all about. It's an unusual formation. And Quinones is going to, well, this is getting blown dead. I'm not sure what was going on there. That was one of those creative formations. Quinones looked like he was looking downfield to throw the ball. I never saw flags.
I didn't either. Apparently, I'm not sure.
Maybe somebody called timeout.
Yeah, they did. And there it is, Diego. The Cardinals did call timeout before the play. I think the unusual formation caught them off guard, and they did the right thing by calling a timeout. So I'm not sure if El Segundo, Diego, was going to go for it there, or they were just going to do a rollout punt,
right?
You know, like a pooch kick. I'm not really sure, but it looked like Quinones was actually going to throw the ball.
Yes, that's what it looked like. It looked like he was looking downfield for a receiver. Now, well, you know, it's interesting. Alex Merced is on the field. He's the place kicker for El Segundo. And let's see if he's going to try field goal. It's an awfully long, there's no wind. Usually there's a wind in the kicker's face right here. Tonight, there's absolutely no wind. The flag is absolutely limp out there. So maybe they're going to try a long field. This would be a 45-yarder if he makes it. Here's the snap. It's good. The kick is up, and it's going to be short, I believe. Just short.
Yeah, so, just short. He got underneath it just a little too much.
So now, you know, Lawndale gets halfway decent. Well, I mean, they don't get great field position, but they get okay field position considering their last drive that started from their own 3. Now well, it's interesting. They don't get it where the ball was snapped. I thought it's put back to the 20. That's
I'm not sure about that.
That's another one of those maybe high school rules.
But I do like the call there, Diego. I like the call of going for the points. You know, Merced has a good leg. We've seen it in practice. You see him on the kickoff. He can drive the ball in the end zone. I like the call because the Cardinals haven't done a whole lot offensively. They're very one-dimensional with a run game. And if you miss it, you still have them deep in your territory. In other words, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to punt because you're only going to gain maybe another 5 yards.
Yeah. So
they made the right call.
Belton with a give to... Well, I got completely confused. Their time, I got fooled. I thought that it was Cuevas who ended up with the ball, and I was looking in the middle of the line. And it was a big pickup, picked up of about 10 yards. We're just inside a minute here. And Lawndale now has a chance to do something, perhaps, although they've chewed up at least 1 or 2. Let's see. They've got 1 timeout left. And they still have a long way to go, and they don't throw the ball particularly well, although the Eagles would be advised to keep an eye on Markeith Cungius, who is split wide to the left right now, because he's got a lot of speed and he's got a lot of height. Belton's looking for him. They're looking for Cungius, and it's complete. Was he in bounds? Oh my, see? That's what Lawndale was talking about, thinking about. I was thinking along with them, and they picked up big yards there. Ball is at the 39 of El Segundo. They just picked up about 41 yards.
41 yards,
Yeah.
and and he's their go-to guy on the deep route, Markeith Cungius. 6'4", big kid, has some great speed and athleticism, and a nice pass by Aaron Belton. I mean, that was a very well-thrown ball, hit him in the numbers in stride.
So now the Eagles just trying to keep Lawndale off the board here. 53 seconds left in the half, and the give is to Cuevas, and Cuevas gets loose and picks up some yardage, but picks up about 7 yards, but the clock is running, and there's 42 seconds left now as the clock stops, and I'm not sure who called, well, timeout Lawndale, and I believe that's their last timeout of the half. So at least that's what our scoreboard would indicate. They haven't, at any rate, Lawndale threatening here.
Yeah, that certainly wasn't expected. And not only wasn't expected because they're not a pass-oriented team, but as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Belton's only completing 30% of his passes all season long. So to throw a 40-yarder down the sidelines, you would expect it to fall to the ground. But a nice job, a nice route run by Cungius to get open, find the soft spot in that defense. And it gives the Cardinals a chance here to put some points on the board going in half. Boy, wouldn't that be a great thing for them, huh, on the road?
Well, they're still a little bit out of the red zone. Second and about 5 or 4. Belton is back to pass over the middle this time, and that ball is picked off. That's picked off by Savage. It was tipped first, and I'm not sure who tipped it.
Gage Mortison got a hand on it, looked like, from our vantage point. Nice job, the old tip drill, and a great interception to thwart that Cardinal threat.
Well, that's the 5th interception thrown up by Aaron Belton this year. And now the Eagles will probably be content just to run out the clock. There's only 35 seconds left here in the half. And the ball is pretty deep in El Segundo territory at about the 21 or 22 yard line of the Eagles. So I wouldn't be surprised to just see the Eagles take a knee here and just go into the half with this lead. But they're not lining up that way. They've got 4 receivers, so they're gonna put this ball up here.
Well, this is having a lot of confidence, I think, in your starting quarterback, in your team.
And now, forced to try and scramble is Bundy, and he is brought down by Jesse Perez, as well as another tackler, and time slowly running out here. And I believe that's going to be the last play of the half, with the Eagles leading at 14-6. Now let's head down to Jill Montgomery.
It's the end of the regular season, and the Pioneer League title is on the line. Now, it could go to any one of 3 schools: El Segundo, North Torrance, or South Torrance. North Torrance looks like the front runner right now at 3-0, but if South Torrance beats North Torrance tonight and El Segundo beats South Torrance next week, there will be a 3-way tie for the Pioneer League title. But El Segundo head coach Steve Shevlin said he does not want his team worrying about any title race. He wants them concentrating on this game tonight because a win here tonight ensures them a playoff berth. He said, let's get to the playoffs and we'll worry about being league champs later. Glenn Diego, back to you.
Thanks, Jill. Well, halftime at Hazeltine Field. You see the band taking the field, and your score 14-6 in favor of the Eagles. We'll be right back with second half action. Don't go away. Second half action just about to get underway, but before we do, another report from Jill Montgomery.
Well, even though the El Segundo Eagles are up 14-6 right now, I just talked with head coach Steve Shevlin. He said he is disgusted with how his team played in the first half. He said it was a very lackluster performance. He thought they played lazy. He took them into the locker room, and he said one thing to him. He said, you guys need to decide if you want to be champions right now, and I better see it in the second half. Tough words from a pretty tough coach. Back upstairs.
Well, we'll just have to see what kind of an effect that has on this Eagle team, as The captains, you see them there at midfield shaking hands before the start of the second half. Well, it's interesting. The Eagles certainly would have hoped to have been further ahead than they are. They're just up by one score, 14-6. The difference being a missed extra point by Lawndale. Otherwise, it would be 14-7. But you know, there was some missed tackles by the Eagles, and perhaps that's what has Coach Shevlin a little upset. They didn't seem to quite be able to, you know, clamp down on that running game, even though I'm sure they studied for it in film. They looked at a lot of film, I'm sure, this week. But still, Lawndale was able to run the ball quite effectively, even without Carlton Callaway. So perhaps that's what Coach Shevlin is upset about, is that the defensive effort not as intense as perhaps he would like. And, you know, quite frankly, on offense, the Eagles played okay, but they can play better than what they did. So we'll have to just see what happens, what transpires here in the second half. And the Eagles will have the ball first, as there you see Palmer, one of the deep men, Grant Palmer, set to receive this kickoff from Alex Alvarado. And we're underway in the second half, and it's going to be Palmer fielding the ball at about his 10. He's up to the 15, up to the 20, he's up to the 25, and brought down by a Lawndale player, number Tyler Johnson, 72, who wrested the ball away from Palmer and then was pretending that he had the ball. So the Eagles will take over just shy of, well, they're about at their 28, let's say. And out of the shotgun, and there's Yatabi, and Yatabi brought down after he almost broke a tackle, but good job there. Let's see who that player was. I believe it was a number 46, if I've got that. Well, now I don't see who that was. Was it 42? Aaron Ford, yes, 42 made that tackle, and a shirt tail type tackle. Otherwise, Yatabi picks up some yardage, but no gain. Second and 10 for the Eagles. There's the give to Mortison, and Mortison breaking a tackle up the middle and picking up pretty good yardage, about 8 yards.
Yeah, it looks like the offensive line, Diego, is picking up where they left off at the end of that first half, really controlling the line of scrimmage, getting the burst off the ball and knocking the defensive players back. They're having a lot of success running the ball in between the tackles tonight. So
the ball at about the 37. It's a third and a 1.5, third and 1, third and 1.5. So this is a big play. The Eagles don't want to go 3 and out here to start the second half. And there's the give up the middle, and that's going to pick up the first down, I believe. It's good second effort by Yatabi
Yeah,
there.
Nice second effort. And as you said before, Diego, he's a big kid, and he gets those legs turned. It's hard to really bring him down for a loss. I think his just forward momentum and his strength is going to keep this drive alive. It's kind of that big bruising back.
So first down for the Eagles at their 39. They go back to the shotgun now. Bundy dropping back. He's under pressure. They're blitzing, but he takes it up the middle himself. And boy, you just cringe if you're on the Eagles sideline when you see that, because he is wearing that brace. And sometimes it's when you're fighting for extra yardage that you get hurt. But Bundy did a great job there. He made something out of nothing, picked up about 5 or 6 yards.
Yeah, he's not afraid to run with a football. You know, if he gets into a bind, which is nice, you know, he has the confidence that in his own running ability, even with the brace on. And sometimes, you know, the adrenaline gets going. He's probably not even feeling any of the effects of that injury last week.
He had sort of re-injured a hyperextended right, I believe it's the right knee. So 2nd and 5, let's call it. Second and 5. And we had a little momentary delay there, but now we're set to go. And Bundy is under center now. Quick drop, quick out, and it's complete to Quinones, and that was very well executed. Quinones brought down by Derek Clark, but not before he picks up about 13 yards on the play.
Yeah, and that ball had some zip on it. Nice job by Bundy to find the open man in Jimmy Quinones. You know, and really since the first quarter, Diego, the team kind of came out sort of listless tonight, if you will, you know, but they've really turned things around and have started to dominate play.
There's a little sort of swing pass to Mortison, who picks up 3 or 4 yards. They look a little crisper on offense, at least at the very beginning here, at least on that pass to Quinones. That was a nice throw. And the ball now at the 35 of Lawndale, I think. Yeah, that was a short pickup of about 2. 2nd and 8. There's Quinones and looks like Savage to the right. Schaffhauser's to the left. And the give is up the middle, and a huge hole for Mortison, and he picks up a first down.
Yeah, and he's not even getting touched, Diego, until he's a good 5 to 8 yards past the line of scrimmage. This offensive line is absolutely taking control of this game for the Eagles.
So the ball to the 25 of Lawndale. Pickup of 10 yards on that run. 8.5 minutes left in the third. The Eagles have a 14-6 lead, and they are marching the ball downfield, looking to extend their advantage, increase their advantage. Out of the shotgun. Yatabe's short in the pattern, and he gets the pass out in the center of the field, and Yatabe still keeps going, and he's going to go into the end zone. Great second effort by Kyle Yatabe as he bowled over a couple of tacklers, would-be tacklers.
Boy, he absolutely did. That was all Kyle Yatabe, and what a bull he was on that run. Boy, he just lowered his head and said, I am not going down. I mean, clearly that defender made the mistake of trying to tackle him up too high as opposed to the more textbook tackle, which is what you want to see in your kids, wrapping the legs and the waist. But give that one to Kyle Yatabe, all effort on his part. And now they're going to be up by 2 scores, but just a heck of a run by number 11.
So here's the point after try from Merced, which is good, and that extends the lead to 21-6 in favor of the Eagles. Now Jill Montgomery down on the field has a word for us.
Thanks, Diego. Well, support and inspiration have been a theme tonight for the El Segundo Eagles, not only in the personal dedications, but it's important for them to win this game. I actually spent some time with the team yesterday at practice, and I asked them, besides the personal dedications I spoke about earlier, what has inspired them all year long? And every single player told me the exact same thing. Head coach Steve Shevlin. They said that he is always fired up. He's always positive. He's either showing movies like 300 or Friday Night Lights. They said he knows what to say, when to say, and how to say it. He said that's all that they need. Back up to you.
Thanks, Jill. Well, Coach Shevlin certainly knows which buttons to press tonight, as you said as Jill mentioned in her little report after coming back from the halftime. She said he was upset with their effort in the first half, but they look crisper here and more intense, and they've extended their lead to 21-6. Now Merced with the kick off, and it's going to be handled by, I believe that's Damian Bell, but he is brought down after a short run back.
Yeah, and nothing epitomizes intensity like that effort that Kyle Yatabe had on that catch and run, right? I mean, he just broke through 2 or 3 would-be tacklers in order to find the end zone in the 6 points. But, you know, Jill touched on a good point here, is that Steve Shevlin is a great motivator. But he also told me tonight before the game, one of the reasons why this team is so successful is they just have a unique chemistry that he hasn't had in a few years here at El Segundo. They've really just gelled all summer long and really just came together as a team, which is what you want. I think it makes the message a lot more easier to get across when you've got good team chemistry.
There's a give up the middle, but it does not work. Now the Eagles may be catching on to some of these misdirections too. That give, I believe, was to Miguel Ramirez. He lines up as a tight end, but it's interesting, kind of an offside. Usually you got your tight end to the right of the quarterback, and that's the strong side. But anyway, they gave it to him, but that play did not work. It was a loss of a couple of yards. We hadn't called his name tonight, Miguel Ramirez, 6 foot, 190-pound junior. He's a tight end. Now we have, looks like Fleming in motion, got the pitch, but he picked up a few yards. The crowd was calling for something there.
Yeah, they saw number 20 of El Segundo, I believe was Sean DiFrancesco, who got drilled away from the ball and did a couple somersaults, and the parents here obviously upset and they wanted a flag, but it looked like it was a clean hit from our vantage point.
So, very few flags in this game. The ball at the 16-yard line. It's a 3rd and 9, and this is the situation where Aaron Belton does not normally feel too comfortable, the quarterback. He does a little play action and a rollout. Now he's looking downfield, and he almost threw an INT as he threw that ball right toward. Was it Mortison? No, excuse me.
No, I believe it was
Brandon Jimenez.
But the intended target looked like number 3 Crawford Wilkerson. And you're right, Diego. You know, when he's in a situation where he's forced to throw, he doesn't look comfortable. He looks better throwing on a 1st or 2nd down. We've seen him throw a lot tonight on 2nd down. When he's forced to throw on 3rd and long, in particular, he gets a little antsy back there, and he didn't even see the defender there, and that easily could have been a pick 6.
So now we have a punting situation for the Cardinals. Alex Alvarado gets that high snap and brings it down nicely, and a pretty good punt. Quinones at the 45 of Lawndale is at the 40. He's shedding tacklers, 40, 35, 30. He could go 35, 20, 25, 10, 15. And Quinones, a touchdown. What a run back by Jimmy Quinones.
Boy, he really found the right holes coming back on that run back. I mean, he was very patient. He had a couple stutter steps, allowed his blockers time to set up, but that was really all Quinones. Very, very patient on that run back, and you have to be when you're a kick returner. You have to be patient and wait for the blockers, wait for the holes, and wait for everything to open up, but that was a heck of a run by Quinones, and this game has quickly gotten out of reach as the Eagles have scored 14 points in a matter of about 16 seconds.
Well, they're about to put up that PAT that would make it 14, but you're right, Glenn. They've just come out like a house of fire, the Eagles, here in the second half, and buried Lawndale. I don't see Lawndale coming back in this game because they're just not explosive enough offensively. There's a little bit of a high snap, but good job by Quinones to bring it down. And the kick is up, and it is good.
But of course, we weren't in the locker room at half, Diego, so we don't know what Steve Shevlin and his coaching staff said to his players to light the fire. But I'm sure it was something effective. We're at home. This is a game we have to win. We got to get some momentum going into the big game next week at South because they both have the same record in Pioneer League play. They're both 3-1. So this is a huge game. Obviously, we don't know what South is doing tonight, but that game could be a showdown for the top spot or the 2nd seed, certainly, come the playoffs. So
yeah, it looks to me like it'll probably be a showdown for the 2nd seed because I don't see North losing tonight. But you never know what could happen. But it's going to be a big game, and the Eagles definitely don't want to go into that game off a loss to Lawndale, a team that they should beat, and now it looks like they will beat. They're up 28-6. Still a ton of time left in this game, but like I said, Lawndale's offense just hasn't shown enough to really come back from this big of a deficit. Here's Merced's kick, and it's fielded and then fumbled out of bounds. So another little miscue there on that by Damian Bell, I believe, was the player who. Now, if he'd have just let that go out of bounds, because it looked like that kick was kind of angling, it might have gone out of bounds.
Might have gone out, you're not sure, right. And they would have gotten the ball, I believe, at the 40. But,
Yeah,
you know,
so that hurts.
it's
Lawndale.
funny. These teams are going in opposite directions in the second half. The first half, they both had some miscues. But in the second half, it's El Segundo who's come out, firing on all cylinders, playing very sharp, precise, crisp football. And it's Lawndale who's self-destructed a little bit here. A couple miscues, batted ball, almost a pick.
So Lawndale deep in their own territory, and Belton gives to Fleming. And this time the Eagles onto that as Brandon Jimenez brought him down after a very short gain. So gain of 2, let's say. 2nd and 8.
Yeah, and it looks like number 7, Grant Palmer, on the sideline for El Segundo on the trainer's bench with some ice wrapped around his ankle. He took off his shoulder pads. I don't think he'll be returning. I'm not sure what happened, but obviously it's something with his ankle. Might just be a sprain, but he's got it elevated on his helmet, and a frustrated look, understandably, on his face, as I'm sure he didn't want to come out.
Yep, Grant Palmer. Looks like we won't be seeing him tonight for the rest of the night. Now there's a misdirection play, and this time it works a little bit better for Lawndale. And now we have some extracurriculars late between Markeith Cungius and who is that? Sean DeFrancesco. That might go back, not sure, maybe to another play. But at any rate, no flags thrown. We've seen very few flags in this game. It's been remarkable.
I can't recall one flag actually being thrown, to be honest. I mean, I don't think any were thrown in the first half, and there's not been one flag.
It's really remarkable.
It's
very rare for a high school game.
High school game.
Yeah. And now we have a first down picked up by, is that Wilkerson? Yes, it's Wilkerson. Crawford Wilkerson picks up several yards and picks up a first down. The ball at the 25 now of Lawndale.
I know Coach Shevlin, while we have it looks like a timeout here, I know he's very excited about his team's prospects for the playoffs. They haven't won a playoff game here in 6 years, going back to 2002. They lost to Sarah back in 2006. They were also in the playoffs, I believe, in 2003 and 2004, losing in the first round. He thinks this is the team that has a lot of chemistry and can go places. They have a lot of team speed on the defensive side of the ball, on the edges. Big offensive line who's opening up holes. They're a lot more balanced this year than they were last year. Last year they tended to throw the ball a lot more. This year they're running the ball just as much as they're throwing the ball. So he feels like they can make a real run in the playoffs, which will certainly be exciting for the fans at El Segundo who've waited a long time.
Oscar Castillo was that Lawndale player injured. He's the center, so he's being replaced now by Raymond Alvarado. And there's a loss on that play. And now a fumble. The ball is loose. Let's see who comes up with it.
Fumble on the play.
And the Eagles have recovered. I'm not seeing who's coming out of that pile with the ball.
It looked like it was number 59, Zach Cooper, who came up with a fumble. There was quite the scrum there, wasn't there? It looks like he was trying to make a second effort, and just someone came in and stuck him. We're not sure who caused it, but it was Zach Cooper who came up with the football. And again, another mistake for the Cardinals. But
they're rapidly sinking in this game, and the Eagles now have a golden chance to just really put the game away for good. Absolutely, because they are at the 15-yard line, give or take a yard. It's hard to. The yard markers, the yard lines have been sort of erased in the center of the field, which is difficult to read. Here's a give to Mortison, but the good defense there by Lawndale. Joe Villa was one of the tacklers, and a loss of about 3 yards, so it'll be 2nd and 13. We'll have to see whether the Lawndale Cardinals can stop the Eagles here, as the Eagles are basically knocking on the door. Bundy, 3 receivers, Schaffhauser and Post to the left, and Quinones is to the right. Post is in the slot to the left, but he's looking right. Now he's looking left. Now he's thinking about running, and he's in trouble. But he gets the ball out to Yatabi. Nice thinking there by Bundy, and Yatabi did a good job also to kind of be available for that
Yeah,
pass.
he did, and this is one thing that you can't teach a quarterback, Diego. That was purely instinctual on the part of Mike Bundy to not only elude the pass rush, a nice little spin move there, but the thing you can't teach a quarterback is to always be looking downfield, always looking to make a play with your arm as opposed to your legs. He certainly could have scrambled, could have thrown the ball out of bounds, but he kept his eyes focused downfield on the downfield receivers, and they ended up picking up a few of those yards that they had lost. So just a great heads-up play by Mike Bundy. And this is why, he's a favorite of Coach Shevlin's.
Well, now we have a timeout by the Eagles with a situation where it's about 3rd and 8, more or less, and they're threatening. The ball is inside the Lawndale 15-yard line at about the 14. And should the Eagles pick up a touchdown here, this game is totally out of reach. I don't anticipate Lawndale really coming back in this game even now, but should the Eagles tack on more points, it's over. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, and you want, your team to go into a big game with a lot of momentum. They want to be able to put up a lot of points tonight, play hard offensively and defensively. But you want to have a lot of momentum, play inspired football, because that's a huge game next week, and it's at South on the road. And like we said, that's going to decide who gets that second seed. As long as South wins tonight, that'll decide who gets the second seed, which, as you know, when it comes to seedings, the higher you are, you're going to draw the lowest seeded opponent. So you want to have some momentum, and that should be some matchup next week.
So 3rd and about 8. Bundy has Savage and Post to his right. Schaffhauser's to his left. He's looking right. He's throwing it out there to Post, and it's a touchdown. Post running that little quick slant that has worked so often, and he beat Derek Clark, and that's the last nail, the proverbial nail in the coffin, I would say.
Yeah, and just a nice throw. Mike saw Post all the way, had his eyes locked on him, and Post just outran his defender simply. And as you said, Diego, that's a play that has worked for them all season long, and they're just totally in sync on that. You can tell it's something they probably worked on all summer, and it's really been paying dividends for them this season.
So the point after try from Merced is up, and it is good. That was Post's 8th touchdown catch of the year, by the way. And the Eagles now leading at 35-6, and now it'll be a question of just trying to perhaps guard against Bundy re-injuring himself. You might want to take him out for the rest of this game. We'll see how Coach Shevlin plays it, but they've already lost Grant Palmer. We hope that his injury is not severe and won't hold him out of next week's game, because he's a big part of this team. And we'll just see how Coach Shevlin plays it in terms of maybe having his second unit play a little bit more in the waning moments of this game. 2:48 left in the 3rd. Eagles dominating now, 35-6. Here's a kickoff from Merced. It's fielded right at the goal line, and here comes number 22, Damian Bell, and he gets it back to about the 20-yard line.
Yeah, and Kevin Post, a nice tackle there. He's doing it all tonight, Kevin Post.
Well, he probably feels better about himself now after that fumble where he was almost in the end zone, and he got hit by Bell and coughed it up. So he gets that touchdown back, if you will, because that was going to be a touchdown, it looked like. And
he was almost at the goal line,
So
he certainly has made amends. A nice tackle there and a nice touchdown on the previous play.
So now I'll be curious to see now if Lawndale puts it up, irrespective of their propensity to run, and they're going to get it out there to Markeith But the problem is that ball, that play has been sniffed out now by the Eagles, and they did a great job there. It worked once, but I think you got to go more vertical, obviously, if you're Lawndale. And
Well,
they've only done it once that we've seen
yeah,
tonight.
and I think, Diego, the problem is they just don't have the number of passing plays. They probably only have half a dozen passing plays in their offense because they don't throw the ball, but 11 times a game. So that's going to be a bigger problem is they just can't create, plays from nothing. So
here's Belton airing it out, and he gets it to Wilkerson. Wilkerson brought down after a little sort of trying to avoid tacklers, but Newtbar got him. And that's a pickup of about 5, or give him 6. So it'll be a 3rd and 4. And ball placed at about the 27-yard line of Lawndale. And now the play is coming in with Markeith Cungius and looks like Davion Bartlett, whose name we have not called either tonight. Let's see where he lines up. He's in the backfield behind Belton. And the ball goes to Fleming, and Fleming finds a seam and picks up a first down. And you see why Jamal Fleming is such a valuable player. Because it didn't look like there was much there, but he just somehow found a hole.
Yeah, the kid's an athlete, and he's got some speed, and certainly you'd like to think that if this was a team that had a little bit more of a vertical offense, that they'd be a lot more successful because they have some speed guys.
Yeah.
Their quarterback's a mobile, athletic kid. He likes to roll out, and for whatever reason, the coaches just don't feel that confident that they can get up top with the football, and so they kind of stick with this running game, and they're kind of mired at 500.
So 40 seconds left here in the third quarter, and there's the give up the middle, and this time the Eagles, and now we see, I think, a flag, a rare.
No, I think it was just the official's marker.
Yeah, the official's marker, okay.
Right.
And it looks like somebody called a timeout. So, it was a fumble. I didn't even see it.
Well, I didn't either. I must have came out at the last second, Diego. It's on the far side of the field from us, but I didn't even see it. It must have just been a strip.
Well, that's why the official threw the marker down to mark where the ball was taken over. But the Eagles, well, my bad here. The Eagles, another turnover, and the Eagles now have great field position at the Lawndale 32. I didn't even see who fumbled that ball, but the Eagles now really just looking for more. Bundy now scrambling, and he throws it out to Post, and it's incomplete. He was looking for Kevin Post on that play.
Yeah, and that's a tough pass to throw for a left-handed quarterback. He's running to his right, and that's a tough pass to complete. But he also had Joey Schaffhauser wide open in the corner of the end zone. He had his guy beat, and that could have been an easy touchdown. But again, Diego, I'm not sure what they're doing, A, keeping him in the game, and B, throwing the football, because by throwing him, you're putting him at risk.
Well,
much
certainly.
safer to just hand the ball off rather. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last series for Mike Bundy.
We'll have to see. Coach Shevlin has had he likes to keep his players in, I've noticed over the years. Here's Bundy over the middle, and it's incomplete. Well, the other thing it does is it stops the clock, of course, but again, it was intended for Post. So this will bring up a 3rd and 10. 17 seconds left in the third quarter. And we'll see whether they go for the home run ball here. They might go into the end zone. Or whether they just try to pick up the 10 yards to keep this drive going. But in any case, this is a game that has gotten away from Lawndale here in the third quarter as the Eagles came out looking pretty sharp and looking pretty determined. And they have taken it to the Cardinals and piled on a bunch of points. Now here's a draw play. That's interesting. And Mortison now finds room after he avoids a tackler and picks up a first down. So poor tackling by Lawndale. in the backfield. They could have had Mortensen for a loss.
Yeah, and I think they're just a little deflated, Diego. But, the other thing is, why don't you run that play on first or second down? Here you are, you're up by 29 points at the end of the third quarter, and I'm really not sure why you just don't want to chew up the clock. By putting Mike back there, throwing the ball, you risk further injury to that leg before the playoffs. And secondly, incomplete passes stop the clock. So I'm not really.
I think they're going to keep it on the ground here, but no.
Yeah.
Bundy's rolling out, and there he's brought down. And did I see a flag there?
Yeah, it looked like a face mask because Mike planted his feet in the defender's arm. Looks like he just got a hold of that face mask. So I think that's what it's going to be.
Well, there's still 3 seconds left on the clock, so an unbelievable number of plays are being run off here with little time.
Right.
And let's see, have I seen a call from the official yet? Not yet. Here it comes. And you're right, it is a face mask, and it's against Lawndale, so that's going to be, depending on whether they deem it to be incidental or intentional. Well, it seems like they're saying it was not intentional, so they're just pacing off 5 yards. So bring up a 2nd and 5, and the ball now, well, I'm having a tough time seeing where it is. Let's see. It's inside the 15-yard line. So I'm going to say it's at right around the 13 or 14-yard line of Lawndale. And it's a 2nd and about, no, it's excuse me, first.
Penalty is against Lawndale for personal foul, grabbing the face mask.
Well, I'm not sure if it's first or second down. I think it's first and about 7. So 3 seconds left. This will be the last play of the third quarter, and the give is to Yatabe, and he's rumbling towards the end zone, and he's going to get there. Another touchdown, the second one for Kyle Yatabe. That makes it 41-6. And with the point after try to come here at the end of the third quarter, they have to try the point after, I believe, as a matter of course. But a complete blowout now. And what a third quarter for the Eagles. They have scored, let's see if I can even add it up.
28 points.
28 points if they tack on this point after. And just complete domination in the third quarter, and the point after is good. So that's the end of the third quarter. And now let's take a look at Jill Montgomery, who's in the stands, I believe. Jill?
Well, Diego, I'm standing in the middle of the El Segundo band right now, and as you can see, they're not playing. This is how quiet it would be if there were no bands at football games. And Nathan, could you imagine if there was no bands at football games?
No, I actually could not. It'd be very boring.
It would be boring. Well, I grew up in the 70s, and Disco Inferno is one of my favorite songs. Will you guys play that for me?
Wow. Well, Jill's getting, she's got a lot of pull around here because now she's getting her requests played by the band.
By the band, I know.
I've been here for years, and I've never gotten a request played by the band.
No, I don't even think most of the people here know our name, actually. So it's she's got a lot of clout already in her first year on the sidelines. Thanks for the story, Jill. That's great. She's absolutely right. Without a marching band, it's part of what high school football is, and we all think back to it, and you think back to homecoming and bands and floats and all that stuff. So it's great that they're here, and they certainly do a great job.
Now here's the run back by Damian Bell off the kickoff, and Bell brought down by, let's see who that tackler was. It looks like Joey Schaffhauser, and a poor run back, and Lawndale stuck in bad field position again as Joey Schaffhauser brought down that runner inside the 15 of Lawndale. So Lawndale takes over on their 14-yard line. So two TD runs tonight by Kyle Yatabe. He's having a big night. Let's see how many touchdowns that gives him on the season. Well, I think those are his first 2, but I may be wrong. No,
Yeah.
He's got 4 total.
No, I
Let me see.
I think he
Four
only-
total.
Okay,
Four total. Yes, he had 2 touchdown runs before, and so now he's got 4. There's a big gainer. Let's see who that was. Was that Cuevas? Yes, it was. So that's a pickup of about 10 or 11 for Cuevas. And ball now at the 25 of Lawndale. So total domination in the third by the Eagles. Now the outcome is looking more like what we expected with the absence of Carlton Callaway for Lawndale. Even with Carlton Callaway, they would not have been favored in this game. There's a long throw looking for Markeith Cungus, and let's see, there's a flag. Yep, they are going to flag. Was it 15 or was it 20?
No, it was number 20 for El
Yeah,
Segundo.
DiFrancesco.
DiFrancesco is him, and
He kind of bumped Cungus. It was a little questionable as to whether it would have been
caught. The
Yeah.
ball did land inbounds, it looked like, but, that is questionable, and maybe the officials just said, hey, it's the fourth quarter, and we haven't thrown a flag all game other than the personal foul, so let's throw one here. I mean,
Yeah.
giving them some hope. And obviously, he just hung that ball up there. I mean, that
Yeah.
was just a wounded duck. I mean, that thing just hung up there, and, they were just praying for an interference call or something.
Yeah, he threw that one up there for grabs and in the general direction of Markeith Cungus. And unfortunately for DiFrancesco, he kind of bumped Cungus a little bit, and the flag came down. Here's Fleming. Sheds a tackler to the 45-50. Fleming stays in bounds to the 45 of El Segundo, and he's still going. Jamal Fleming with a great little run there. I mean, that was about 23 yards.
Yeah, and I don't know if they got that on camera, but he hurdled Nigel Newtbar at the end of that run to get him another 7 or 8 yards. I mean, this is a real athletic kid, and like I said, Diego, you kind of wonder if this team just had some sort of passing game. I mean,
Yeah,
would they be able to do something in the Pioneer League, because they have got some skilled kids.
Yeah, they would be
really
dangerous if they had a good passing game. They would be very dangerous because their running game is outstanding. So now 1st and 10 inside El Segundo territory. Belton rolling out, and he throws it over the middle, and it's incomplete. Ouch! That player got hammered. It was intended for the Miguel Ramirez, the tight end, and he just got leveled. Was it Quinones who got him? Anyway, he should have made the catch because that ball was there.
Yeah, it was there. It was a nicely thrown ball, and he really should have made the catch.
And that's part of the problem with the passing attack. It isn't always the quarterback. Sometimes he does an okay job, and the receivers just don't make the catches. Maybe it's they don't practice it very much. They just don't focus very much on the passing game in practice.
And I think at this stage in the game, too, the kids are a little deflated for Lawndale. And when you're a little deflated, the game's out of reach. You don't have a lot really to play for other than your pride. And so your concentration lapses a little bit. And you're not playing as hard, not as focused. So
I think we're seeing Mark Gomez talking to one of the officials, and I think he's upset about that hit because it came in a little late. The ball was already incomplete, and his receiver got just leveled.
Yeah, and that was a it could have gone either way. They could have thrown the flag. I mean, he really did hit him well after the ball was there, but maybe the officials didn't think it was malicious enough to warrant the personal foul call. So yeah, Mark Gomez was.
He was hot. He was
hot.
He was not too happy.
No,
I mean, he wasn't that demonstrative, but you could tell he was not too happy to walk out to midfield and talk to the officials about it. So brings up a 2nd and 10, and it'll be interesting to see whether Belton here throws it again or whether he does one of those types of plays where he's got an option to keep the ball. And no, he's going to give it to Fleming, and Fleming is corralled. So no gain basically there for Fleming, as he was all kinds of, Wade LaRouche was one of the tacklers, but there were like 3 tacklers there. And so 3rd and 9, they're going to give him a yard, so he somehow made a yard out of that. Don't ask me how. But Fleming's probably closing in on 100 yards. He's probably right around 80, 85 yards on this game. 3rd and long, and this is those situations, although obviously they're going to go for it on 4th down if it gets to that. Belton back to pass, under pressure, scrambling now, staying on his feet. Somehow, wow, what an effort by Aaron Belton. I think he's a little short of the 1st down, but a great effort just to stay on his feet, and he picked up about 6 or 7 yards. He's just shy of the 1st down by about a yard, but they'll, like I said, they're going to go for it, I would think.
Yeah, I would think they're going to go for it, but that was a heck of an effort by Aaron Belton. There's no quitting that kid, and as I said, Diego, you can see this is a mobile kid. There you have the score and the time left in the game. You know, he's an athletic guy, and you just hope that maybe in the years to come, this team, they are a pretty young team, that they can actually get a passing game.
Well, they got a couple of, seniors who are going to leave, so they'll just have to, most notable, Markeith Cungus. Anyway, 4th down, they are going to go for it. 4th and 1. Ball inside the El Segundo 30. And the give is right up the middle. I don't think this kid got it. I'm not sure who got that ball, but I don't know. Well, we'll have to see where the forward progress is. I don't think he got the 1st down. Who was that ball carrier? He did not get the 1st down, whoever it was.
No, and they've got such quick kids. I'm not sure I like that call. I would have rather liked to see them run a pitch to the outside because those kids are so speedy. I think they would have a much better shot. El Segundo has really done a nice job in the second half of this game of plugging up the middle. I would have liked to see him gone outside there a little bit, but either way, a big defensive stand for the Eagles.
So the Eagles take over on downs at their 28-yard line. And now there is a new quarterback in the game. And I'll give you, it's Schaffhauser. That's interesting. And the give is to Mortison for a gain of about 4 yards, let's say.
Well, Grant Palmer is their number 2 guy, the sophomore. And obviously he's on the sidelines hurt with his ankle tape. So they've got to go to someone else. And Schaffhauser, I think, when you look at the depth chart.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a brain freeze there. Yeah, Grant Palmer's injured, so they're using Schaffhauser. We haven't seen him as a quarterback, so this is a new look for the Eagles. But I think this is wise. I mean, you don't want to expose Bundy to any potential aggravation of his injury to his right leg, right knee. I guess it's a hyperextended right knee, which got better, but you just don't want to push it. Why push it? And there you see a little bit of the roughness between Schaffhauser and Yatabe as they kind of muffed the hand up. They didn't fumble it, luckily. There was no fumble, but they kind of bumped into each other as they were making that exchange, and so that resulted in a no gain.
Well, and you wonder how many reps does Schaffhauser get during the week, if any. The
any.
Top 2 guys are the only guys, and the second guy doesn't get a whole lot of work usually. So you wonder, how many reps has he had all season? So you got to think that he's just going to be content handing the ball off here and, just grinding this game out with just under 8 minutes left.
Yeah, the Eagles obviously going to win by a large margin. They lead it 42-6. So they're just grinding it out on the ground, and great job there. Great second effort by the Eagles runner. I guess it was Mortison. And he's a tough kid because he looked like he was limping earlier in the game. He still looks like he might be limping just a little bit, running but he's tough. Let's see how many kind of yardage he came into this game with. For this year, he came into the game with 607 yards, 6 touchdowns. It's probably closer to 700 yards now for the year.
Yeah,
and he was injured. I think he missed a game.
Well, no, he was suspended
for a game. That's right.
And but the more important thing is that he's averaging 7 yards a carry. We're almost 7 yards a carry, and that's the type of back you want to have, a guy that can move the chains, and he's a tough kid. Rarely does one guy bring him down or the guy that meets him first. He's a guy that you'd never see get thrown for a loss behind the line of scrimmage.
It's very rare, yeah.
Real tough kid, always has his legs moving forward, and I think this El Segundo team is a very well-balanced attack, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do in the playoffs.
So Schaffhauser now faced with a second and about 7. And now we have all kinds of, now we have a late flag as that run was named Santana Camilleri. But we have a late flag and it's a hold against the Eagles, so that's going to bring that one back. But we're seeing some new names because Steve Shevlin obviously realizes this game is totally out of hand, and he's just getting some of his second string players in there, giving them a little bit of experience, and resting his regulars like Mortison, Bundy. They're both on the sideline now. Just there's the band looking very happy.
Well, it's been a long time since the Eagles have been going into the final week of the season at 7-2, and they really could be 8-1, Diego. That game last week was a tough one. They only barely lost to North, 21-17. So they've had a tremendous season here, and
yeah,
band is fired up.
They've also had to overcome some adversity because they missed. They've had injury to Mike Bundy that kept him out 2 games and most of a third. So I mean, they've been without him, a significant portion of the season, and they still managed to put together a very nice season. And yeah, that is going to be a very interesting game. It's too bad it's not here next week, or else we would have it for you. But that's going to be an interesting game against South. There's Bryce Savage carrying the ball. Now the Eagles just keeping the ball on the ground and just chewing up the clock. 5:20 left here in the game as the Eagles are forced to punt, and Schaffhauser will be punting. Back to it's Damian Bell back deep. And perhaps the Eagles didn't play, their best game in the first half, but they came away with a slight lead after the first half. And whatever Steve Shevlin said in the locker room worked, because they came out. There's a kind of a short punt off the foot of Joey Schaffhauser, and it takes a Lawndale bounce. So that's not a good. Joey Schaffhauser can't be happy with that effort. It was only turns out to be like a 10-yard punt.
Yeah,
But,
he really. The ball just went straight up in the air when it came off his foot. So it's a miscue on there. But hey, he's playing quarterback. He's punting. I think he caught a touchdown tonight. He's doing it all for the Eagles. But yeah, you're right, Diego. This is a game that was 14-6 at half. Let's not forget. And Lawndale was very much in it. I mean, they put together a couple decent drives, but El Segundo just came out and just seized the momentum immediately. And there was no turning back, and of course they had a couple breaks and some turnovers go their way.
So 1st and 10 for Lawndale. They're at their 49. Plenty of time for Belton, but he throws it sort of as he's being brought down by, let's see who that player was all over him. It was number 73, Matt Booterbaugh, was dragging him down, and Belton just kind of threw it up for grabs a little bit. He got away with it. So 2nd and 10 from the 49 of Lawndale. Now both teams are using some substitutes. Marquise Wheelington is in the game for Lawndale, split wide. There's Belton. He's looking for Wheelington. He airs it out. He's looking for Marquise Wheelington, but and it's almost intercepted and then almost caught by Wheelington.
Yeah, it actually went through the hands, it looked like, of Keanu Garlitos. Was it Garlitos? It went through the 34 of El Segundo, and then it went through his hands. And actually, you're right. Wheelington
had a shot at it.
But I think he was just so stunned that the ball went through Garlitos' hands that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But that ball was just really hung up there, and Belton took a shot at the end of that because he really stepped up, and he took a shot to the chest but stayed on his feet. He's a tough kid.
Keanu Garlitos, almost had an interception there. And then Wheelington almost had a long catch. But An incomplete pass is the ultimate result, and 3rd and 10 now for Lawndale. So now here's a fumble. That was a draw. That was supposed to be a draw, but the exchange was fumbled.
Yeah,
Is that Fleming that was supposed to get that ball?
no, it was
number 2?
actually Cuevas. Nelson Cuevas was supposed to get it, and I'm not sure whose fault that was. If that was Belton's fault or Cuevas' fault. It looked like Cuevas just took his eye off the exchange.
And he was getting hit pretty soon
Yeah,
after he got the ball, too.
Exactly.
So it was a combination of things.
Yeah, a combination of things, but that's just another miscue. I mean, now I think they have 4 or 5 turnovers here in the second half alone, so they've really imploded.
Santana Camilleri is a little single setback. He's probably going to get the ball, I would imagine. He does, and he's going to pick up just a couple of yards, but the Eagles are all about just keeping the ball inbounds and keep the clock running. And if Lawndale wants to call timeout, which I don't think they would in this situation, you're so far behind that there's really not much point. You're not going to catch up.
No, and you don't want to risk injury. I mean, these kids, it's high school football. I mean, why call timeout, prolong the game? The game's well in hand, and let the kids just play it out here with just under 4 minutes left.
Yeah, the Eagles totally in control, 42-6. There's Camilleri again, and a good tackle by the diminutive Crawford Wilkerson. He 5'3". That's what he's listed on the roster for Lawndale. 5'3", 170. But boy,
but he's quick.
He made like
shifty.
He made like a little missile on that play, and he brought down Santana Camilleri, who's much bigger. Camilleri 5'11", 180. So a big disparity there.
Well, it was a textbook hit. I mean, there's been some poor tackling tonight on the side of the Cardinals, but you always want to hit the guy and wrap the legs. And he came in, he kind of shot through the gap right there and made a nice play.
Here's Schaffhauser rolling out. He's looking downfield. He's going to keep the ball, and he's trying to go for the first down marker. I'm not sure whether he got there, but he might have. I think he might have done it on the far sideline.
I think he did, Diego. We're not sure where he stepped out of bounds, but I think that's going to move the change. Nice job by Schaffhauser. Guy had his jersey, but he was still able to get around the edge and show that wide receiver speed that he has. Yeah, he's a fast kid.
He picked up about 12 yards, 11 yards, 12 yards. First down, and now the Eagles will be able to just keep the clock running. They're just going to hand this ball off in the backfield.
Yeah, and actually, he stayed in bounds because the clock is still running. I thought he got knocked out, but again, a heads-up play by Schaffhauser to stay in bounds, recognize where he was on the field.
And the ball now is given to Stephen Pliakonis as a runner.
I'm not sure we've called his number ever.
Certainly not running the ball this year, and he picked up pretty good yardage. He picked up about 8 yards, seven or 8 yards.
Yeah, he's a guy who normally plays, I think, on the offensive and defensive line. He's 5'9", about 190.
Yeah,
a senior, and I think it was maybe a la William Perry, the fridge type handoff runs, if you will, from the Bears back in the day. I mean,
he picked up about 6 yards, so.
It's got to be a thrill for him, huh?
Yeah, 2 minutes left, and now he gets the ball again, and he's wrapping it up, being very careful not to fumble, and he picked up I believe he's picked up the first down. So the Eagles now just kind of running out the clock on the ground, and we have just over a minute and a half left in the game. The ball at the 25 of Lawndale. And Schaffhauser has Savage and Pliakonis in the backfield. One of them Savage moved early. They should have thrown a flag there. And here comes the flag very, very late. The referee sort of threw a flag very late, but it's against the Eagles as Savage got confused on the snap count, and I saw him move early, and it's going to go against the Eagles. Illegal motion. So that'll negate that pickup.
Yeah, that came in awfully late, didn't it?
Yeah, it was sort of like the referee thought, well, do I throw the flag, or do I care, or do I not care? Because it was a very slight movement by
but
Savage.
we saw it, and I thought he I mean, like I said, that's only probably the fourth flag they've thrown all night. A very clean game on both sides. Either that or the officials were a little lazy. One of the two, right?
Yeah. Probably we'll say a clean game.
A clean game. We'll say a clean game.
55 seconds left. There's Schaffhauser giving it. Who got that ball?
Carried by Brandon Jimenez.
Well, it's Brandon Jimenez. I'm normally a linebacker, I believe. Let me see what I've got him listed as.
Yeah, he's actually a 6 foot, 250-pound linebacker.
Yeah.
Also plays on the offensive line, I believe. But
yeah, he does a lot of linebacker work.
Seems like talk about running back by committee here in the fourth quarter. They've handed it off to everyone but Coach Shevlin, I think.
So, yeah, they're giving it to big kids and telling them probably just wrap the ball up. Don't put it on the ground. And this will probably be, I would imagine, the last play of the half as Jimenez gets it. Last play of the game, excuse me. Well, now the clock stops because I think he picked up the first down.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to move the chains.
Well, Diego, being that this is our final game of the season, you know, I would like to take this opportunity again. It's been a pleasure to work here at El Segundo and call the games with you, Diego, and also our great production crew, Chris Lay and Robert Settle, Mike, and all the camera guys, and of course our new sideline reporter Jill. It's been great. It's been a great year for El Segundo football, and we're going to look forward to them going to the playoffs.
Absolutely, and there's your final 42-6, a blowout of the Lawndale Cardinals. So the Eagles now going to a 3-1 in league and 7-2 overall, and very well poised to. They're guaranteed a playoff spot. It's just a question of which seed will they be coming out of the Pioneer League. Now, before we go, our sideline reporter Jill Montgomery has a word with quarterback Mike Bundy.
I'm here with El Segundo winning quarterback Mike Bundy. With this win, you guys just cinched a playoff berth. How happy are you?
Oh, we're very excited as a team. You know, we worked so hard all year, and it finally paid off for us. Finally paid off, and we got a playoff berth.
You guys have been playing for dedications tonight. Gage's grandfather, Danny's sister, Caitlin. How important was it for you and your teammates to play outside of the box, actually, and not just for X's and O's and W's and L's?
You know, for us, it wasn't just about the playoff berth. It was dedicating this game to them and just respecting what they've given us as a unit, as the Eagles, as El Segundo. We were just paying this entire game to them.
How's your knee right now?
It feels good.
Congratulations. Best of luck the rest of the season. Diego, Glenn, back up to you.
Well, thanks, Jill. There you have quarterback Mike Bundy, who's looking forward certainly to next week's game, and a pretty good performance here tonight, especially in the second half. He really got better.
Yeah, it seemed like the leg really didn't bother him at all tonight.
No, he was pretty mobile back there, and a great performance by the Eagles overall. 42-6, your final score over Lawndale. And for the entire production staff, I'm Diego Sanchez. Our final home game of this 2008 season, a happy one for the El Segundo Eagles. And that'll do it from Hazeltine Field. Again, your final score, Eagles 42, Lawndale Cardinals 6.